Welcome to the channel. So today I'm actually going to be doing a review of the Monoprice Cadet. This is a rebranded Weedo Tina2. They also sell it, I think, under the name of Tina2. There's a couple of other companies that are selling it. I think Weedo, though, is the main manufacturer of it. But anyway, it's a small form factor printer. It has a build volume of 100 by 100 by 105, so it's really tiny. And that was kind of the appeal to it, though. You know, it's so small and so easy to move around. Now, I think, you know, as you can see from the branding that they're doing on their website, that this is really designed or geared more towards children. And as you can see, the hot end is actually covered by like a grate so that you can't get your fingers in there and touch it and things like that. But anyway, I just thought it was such a neat little printer. I wanted to check it out and see what it could do. Now, there are a couple of, you know, flaws to it, at least in my opinion. You know, it doesn't have a heated bed. It doesn't have a parts cooling fan. But again, everything is on linear rods. So that's really neat, especially for something that is so incredibly small. But anyway, you know, let's go ahead and I'll go over, you know, the main aspects of the printer itself, and then we will move into some prints, and we'll see what this thing can actually do. All right, let's get to it. So normally when I do these, I like to show the motherboard first. But on this one, it's really difficult to get to because you kind of need to take the whole thing apart. And I wasn't really going to go into all of that. But this is the motherboard. It's completely proprietary, has a built-in screen already with it. They say it's a 32-bit board. You know, I'm not 100% sure. Again, it's completely custom. But I'm trying to show, let me see if I can actually get it in focus here. The unit does not have a heated bed. But the motherboard, see if I can show you this plug here, does have a plug for a heated bed. So you probably could upgrade to one later on. This is the screen that's attached to the motherboard. It's a standard, you know, screen that you see on every other type of printer that's out there. They're really nice, at least in my opinion, because they're easy to, you know, flash Marlin for, or you know, if you want to upgrade to Clipper can use this screen, which makes it really nice. The firmware that's actually on here is really toned down. It's running Marlin 1, and there isn't a whole lot here, you know, and I think they might have done that intentionally because I think it is geared towards children, but there isn't a whole lot for you to do inside of this firmware, really just print. But here's the actual version that this is running, which is the latest and greatest. Around the back, this is our X motor, and this cable here goes to our hot end. And this is a daughter board that all of our components connect up to. It actually makes it really easy to work on this printer and replace parts. This is the main cable that goes to the main board or motherboard, and then everything else connects up in here. And then this cable right here, this black one, is what carries our thermistor and our hot end and our fan and all that. So you could just disconnect them here and pull the whole hot end out. It, again, makes it really easy to work on, you know, any type of maintenance that you need to do. So this is underneath the Cadet or Tina2. Here you can see this is our Z motor right there, and this is our Y motor. There's our belt for our Y axis. Not a whole lot to it. So this is our Z axis. Here's our threaded rod. And it's really neat because it's all linear rods. So, you know, we have these two here that are gantry rides on. You know, it's just amazing to me that you have such a small printer that is utilizing all linear rods. There's the ones for the bed. I mean, it's just super neat. So this is the bed. It has masking tape on it, basically. It's all one piece though, and it's magnetic. You know, so it's really nice to pull out and bend to get your prints off. Works really easy, not a whole lot to it. Again, it's not heated, so you're really only stuck with PLA. But like I showed, the header on the motherboard is for a heated bed, so it might be possible to put a heated bed in this one from like a Tina2S if you wanted to upgrade. So this is the hot end for the Cadet, or Tina2, and I have removed the grill so you could get a better look at, you know, what it actually looks like. And it's only held in with these 4 screws right here, and then that holds the entire unit as an assembly into place here on its carriage. Now there isn't a parts cooling fan. There's just the hot end fan that you see right here. So you really need to keep that in mind. That the design of it, it's like the air flows through the hot end and then kind of bounces back against the part. There's no real parts cooling fan on here. But anyhow, it does work okay, you know, and like I said, it's really easy to get to, really easy to work on if you need to. So the last 2 parts I want to go over here before we get into the prints, there's the extruder here, which is all plastic. I don't know if you guys remember, you know, with the Enders and their plastic extruders, but I don't know what the longevity of this is going to be. That's just something to think about. And then over here we have our spool holder, which is built into the side of it. It's kind of neat, you know, it folds up for easy portability. Now it's designed for a 250 gram spool, so you know, the thinner ones. You can get a 1 kilogram on here, but it might fall off. And it folds up and snaps into place. How nice. So this is our first print, which is labeled ring on the SD card. Let's see how it works out. Okay, let's see what we got. It's a little kitty cat ring. Let's pop it off of this. So it comes off of the build plate really easy. Let's see what we got. I mean, it's a pretty good looking ring. Top surface looks really nice. Snaps off of the raft pretty easily. A little bit of string on there. The bottom side doesn't look too great due to that raft. But yeah, it's a little kid's ring. Kind of what you would expect from a printer like this. But overall, I'd say it looks pretty good. You know, there's a little bit of stringing here. But you can see how the raft, that needs to be adjusted a little bit. And this isn't their filament, you know, this is filament I'm using, so there's, you know, it's not tuned. So this is our second print. It's labeled butterfly. So let's see what we get here. All right, let's see what we got. It's a good looking butterfly. That looks really nice. And like I said, you know, I'm using my filament versus their filament, so things don't always translate perfectly well for these pre-sliced models. Let's get this off the raft. So yeah, here it's really on this raft. Doesn't help that it's articulated, flexy. I mean, it's really on this raft. Let's see if I can. Yeah, it does not want to come off this raft. Yeah. I want to break it pulling off this raft. Oh, it might be coming. It's coming. It's just taking its time. I mean, it is really super glued to this raft. Let me get under there. Oh. And there you have it. Oh well, I mean, it was a nice looking butterfly before I broke it. So like I said, it is super glued to this raft. And again, that's probably my fault because, you know, it's the filament that I'm using. Oh well. Moving on. Okay, so this is our next print, and it is titled Dragon. So let's see what we get. Okay, I actually think I've printed this before on my own. This is a pretty good little model. You can see where not having a parts cooling fan did not help this model underneath the chin there, underneath the nose. But overall, I would say it looks pretty good. Yeah, you can see it would have been better with a parts cooling fan, but it's pretty smooth, especially on the body. Let's see if we can get this raft off. Yeah, you see this one's coming right off. Must have just been the other filament. But yeah, it's, you know, it's pretty good looking. Pretty good looking print right here. It's not perfect by any means, but you know, for this little tiny thing, I think it did pretty good. Yeah, you could use a parts cooling fan. You can see it on the wings and underneath the chin. But all in all, I'd say this is a good job. Good job. Okay, for our next print, this one is titled Cat. So let's see what we got. Okay, so let's see what we got here with our cat. Well, yeah, that turned out really good. Look at that. Yeah, that turned out really nice, especially the color with this filament. This is Lot Max filament, by the way. That is really nice. You can see under the paw there. That didn't turn out too good. All in all, though, it is really nice print. There's a couple of lines you can see, and that's, like I said, it hasn't been flow tested or anything. It's just, you know, pre-compiled G code on their card. But yeah, it looks really good. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I mean, so this printer is probably capable of really good stuff. Okay, so next up, this one is titled Fish. They just gave you so many precompiled prints on this SD card. It's crazy. Let's see what we get. Okay, so this is our fish print. This is another flexi or articulated print. Let's see if I can not break this one. Looks pretty good. See if we can get it off of this raft without breaking it. Yeah, this one's coming off. Like I said, it must have just been the filament that I was using on the other one, because I mean it was like glued to it. But yeah, this one's popping right off. There we go. Get this head off. All right. There's our fish. That's a really good looking print. It needs some tuning with the raft, but other than that, it looks really nice. Really, really nice. Okay, so this is the Wii Builder software. There's not a whole lot to it. You know, it's very simplistic, and again, I think they meant it to be that way. And here I have a model of a wobbler, which is like a one of those bird whistles. You fill it with water. You put, well, you don't fill it. You put water in it, and then it'll vary the sound. But you know, again, there's not a whole lot to this application, and I think they designed it that way, you know, for the younger minds that they're actually trying to market this thing for. But it's pretty much you load up the model and then you hit the slice button and there you have it. You know, there's the profiles that are in here that are very super simplistic. I won't really get into it because I mean it's purpose built for, you know, this printer. But that's pretty much it, and then you save it to your card and job done. Let's go and print it out and see what it looks like. So this is the wobbler actually printing. Let's see what we get. Okay, yeah, it looks okay. Yeah, this didn't do out too well. Again, you really need a parts cooling fan on here. But you can see by default, the Wii Builder builds that raft for you. I'm not so sure that's necessary. So we'll try another print after this one without one. But let's pull that off. Yeah, that worked out pretty good. Looks a little bit better than the pre-compiled ones. But anyway, you can see the flaws in this just because you don't have a parts cooling fan. Yeah, you see that? It's really warped. So, you know, again, you keep that in mind that since this doesn't have a parts cooling fan, that might be a problem for some models. And there doesn't seem to be a really easy way to actually add one to this. I guess you could put a fan in front of it, you know, blowing straight on it. I don't know. But okay, so now we're back in Wii Builder, and I'm going to slice up this Voron cube. Now I'm going to do it, you know, we'll change it up a little bit at this time, so I'm not going to print a raft. So I've taken that out, and then I've shrunk it down from its normal 30 by 30 to 20 by 20. And then we'll see how this turns out. And this is the actual print of the Voron cube. We'll see how it does without that raft. Okay, I mean, it seemed to print fine without the raft. Keep getting these strings attached to the hot end. Now, it looks pretty good. No real complaints here. Yeah. You can see where I didn't quite purge enough because I'd printed black before this one. But other than that, I mean, I think the bottom looks really good for, you know, just printing straight on masking tape. And again, keep in mind this, you haven't tuned any of this, you know. So some of these ridges that you see on the sides can probably be worked out with just some flow testing. But all in all, I'm really happy with how this turned out. Yeah. I think that looks really good. I'm mostly impressed with this printer. Mostly. Okay, so we've reached the end of this review. So what are my feelings on this? I like the printer. I like that it's super small. I like that, you know, it's toteable. You know, I wouldn't really say it's, you know, you could put it in a backpack, but you could definitely take this thing with you going to, you know, maker fairs or whatever. I think it's really neat. Does it print good? Yeah. I mean, the cat turned out excellent. The ring turned out excellent. The dragon was mostly excellent. You know, I think it did really well, except for the warbler. And you might have been able to, you know, change some of that with the orientation. I don't really know. You know, the butterfly, that was a filament problem. So everything else that was pre-done turned out great. The warbler just did not. And I think it showcases the big flaw in this machine, is that you're really stuck with only PLA, and PLA benefits from having a parts cooling fan. And this one doesn't have one. And, you know, in that print, that single print shows that problem. And so, you know, you're going to be limited in some of the models that you can print well simply by that fact. Now, you know, you could probably mitigate some of this by doing speed, or, you know, maybe things might look a little bit better if you move over to a more modern day slicer like Cura or Prusa slicer or even Orca. You know, I don't know. The Wii Builder is just so simplistic. And again, I think that's what they were going for. But anyway, I think the price is really high for this printer. I think, you know, what you're getting without that parts cooling fan, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I would recommend this one, just for those two issues. But if you like this content, like and subscribe, and happy printing.